Welcome back, everyone. I've been thinking a lot lately about how Path of Exile communities and economies are basically shaped by thousands of players all engaging with the game differently. And with Path of Exile 2's next patch shaking so much up for us, a lot of us are temporarily going back into that unknown space again. Less solved builds, less optimization, and more experimentation. And personally, I think that's when Path of Exile becomes the most interesting. When people are still discovering things together instead of simply executing already solved answers. So, what makes the world of a Path of Exile league, and why is it so fascinating to me? I believe it's because everybody approaches the game differently. Some people blast maps, some people boss, some people craft, some people flip items, and some people experiment with weird builds, and others just want to hang out with friends and progress steadily. All of these people together create the overall feeling of a league. You can almost feel the personality of a league shift depending on what the wider community is prioritizing at any given time. In some ways, that reminds me a bit of Helldivers 2 or even Dungeons & Dragons party dynamics. Different people naturally fill different roles, not because the game explicitly assigns them a role, but because people gravitate towards what they enjoy the most, and the world itself then kind of forms around that approach. If nobody bosses, boss uniques become scarcer and in turn more expensive. If nobody crafts, progression for a lot of players in general slows down. If nobody experiments with new skills or with new ascendancies, the meta can get stale. And if everybody only optimizes currency per hour, the whole atmosphere of a league changes. A weird off-meta build somebody experiments with today might steadily become part of the wider meta a few weeks later on. Even somebody endlessly farming maps affects item availability and progression pacing for players that they will never actually meet. The ecosystem only works because different kinds of players coexist together. And most of this happens without anybody consciously coordinating it or needing to be aware of it. This ties back a lot to what I've been kind of talking about with cadence and league choice for your character. Different ways of playing create different emotional experiences, different pacing, different friction, different motivations, and collectively that shapes the overall feel of the entire league. That's why I'm actually really excited for Path of Exile 2's 0.5 patch, because even just for a little while, a lot of us are going to be going in blind again. We won't fully know the best builds, we won't fully know the optimal progression, and suddenly experimentation, discussion, and discovery become valuable again. So for myself, I think I want to lean into that uncertainty a bit more this time round. Maybe not over-optimize immediately out the gate, maybe allow myself to try experimentation some more, maybe focus on the journey and the community side of things again, instead of trying to solve the league too quickly. I kind of just want to make things, experiment, talk with people, and see what naturally emerges from the experience of playing the game. Honestly, some of my favorite moments in Path of Exile came from not fully knowing what I was doing. Those periods where things felt uncertain, messy, and communal usually ended up being the most memorable times. So that time where everybody is collectively figuring things out together, I believe that is the really, really special time in early periods of Path of Exile leagues. And maybe that's worth holding on to a little longer before I inevitably pull out the spreadsheets once they arrive and start to optimize the mystery out of everything. What makes these worlds feel alive is probably the people inside them and the different ways that they choose to engage with the game. I want to leave you with something to think on, as it's something I've been pondering myself for the past number of days. I've been wondering what Path of Exile could eventually become if the Atlas itself started reacting more directly to collective player behavior. What happens if everybody blasts maps, but not enough people deal with pinnacle bosses? Or if entire leagues collectively obsess over one type of content while neglecting another? We already kind of shape the economy and atmosphere of a league through the ways we choose to play. It'd be really interesting if, maybe one day, the world itself started reflecting those collective choices too. Almost like a giant evolving Dungeons & Dragons campaign where the community unknowingly shapes the state of the world together. I think that could be a really, really cool idea.